the transaction broker, single agent, dual agent. You're never going to act with one as a sub-agent. So the three that you need to know is transaction, that's how you start your relationship. And then you move to single agent and then maybe to dual agent. It's rare you're going to do a dual agency, but most of the time you'll probably be single agent because you're going to move to agency. And then that's where you'll have to salute the colonel.
You said 4 or 3?
Well, there's actually 4. There's transaction broker, single agent, dual agent, and then sub-agent.
Okay,
but you're never going to interact with the consumer as a sub-agent. You're going to be a sub-agent under your broker.
Right.
Can you write an offer for someone as a transaction broker?
Yes, you can.
Yes, absolutely. If you ever work for a builder and you're sitting in their new home community, they will only allow you to be single agent with them. You'll never be transaction broker with a person coming in to buy the house. How about your licensed assistant? Can they write an offer?
Yes. If
No.
they have a license?
If they have a
Okay,
license.
license.
Assistant, yes.
Licensed assistant, unlicensed, how about them?
No.
No.
If you don't have a buyer's agency agreement, can you legally show property? Yes.
Yes, you can show property. As long as you've got a license,
Yeah.
you don't have to have agency with them. You can do transaction broker. How about that bottom one?
Can you show this buyer homes offered for sale by owner? Yes.
Yes. Just because they're not listed in the MLS, if you've got agency with somebody and they say, hey, I want to see this for sale by owner over here, that's a lawful instruction. You need to contact that for sale by owner and say, may we see the house?
Right.
And you hope that they got a little sign down the bottom of that for sale by owner that says, what? Agents welcome. Because that's what they're saying, yeah, we're going to offer some compensation to you. You'll need to ask them what it is.
What if it didn't say agents welcome?
Then you're going to ask them, do you offer compensation? And they'll say yes or no. Now let's go back to why we know to do that. If you don't have, if you don't have a buyer's agency agreement with them, then you may not get paid on that for sale by owner.
Right.
But if you've got a buyer agency agreement with them, you're going to have written in there what your commission's going to be. You may put 1% or 2% or whatever you want to get out of this deal. You probably would want to put 3% in there. And then if the for sale by owner is not offering any commission, your buyer client now is going to be on the hook to pay you the 3%. That's why we've got these buyer agency to make them work with you. I guess we just did this. There's one down at the bottom we missed. Do we have to give that seller a recad?
No.
Yes, we do. We are an agent. We're an agent.
Oh, it's not
we have
about
a
them.
license.
Our one we're listing for,
No,
or any seller.
No, for sale by
For
owner.
sale by owner.
Oh shoot!
It's just like a person that called you out to their house to help you sell it.
Yeah.
You're gonna recad them. Well, for sale by owner is no different.
Oh,
Because that's like the guy that wasn't doing the recast for sale by owners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't know the rule, and he got fined for it.
Yeah.
So if a for sale by owner asks you to come, you have to give them the recast?
Yes.
Okay, right. But I was thinking in terms of the agency that I have with the client taking them to a for sale by owner.
Yeah, you still got to
I have
give the
to recad
recad
that
to that owner.
Oh, okay.
You're advising them, you're disclosing to them that you are a licensed agent. Because everybody thinks we got that little silver tongue and we just gonna slip in their wallet and get their money just because we know how to talk. So you gotta let them know, hey, I'm an agent. I have responsibilities to you, and that was our hard questions.
Okay.
Would that make them then a dual agent?
No.
It does not. Okay.
No.
So
You have not established any relationship with them other than saying, I am an agent.
Okay. That makes sense.
and I have a buyer, somebody interested in your house. Okay.
My question is,
That's
it says you can collect commission from a for sale by owner.
Mhm.
How?
How?
How much?
Well, how and how much? how
Is that-
is you gonna ask them, what are you offering in compensation?
Okay.
And he may say, nothing. That's when you hope you've got a buyer agency agreement, because you're carrying these people around. You're advising them, you better have agency with them, because that's what it does. It allows you to give them advice. Here the seller says, no, I don't need to pay a commission. Now you go back to your buyer agency and it said in there, buyer to pay you 3% or 4% or $10,000 or whatever they agreed to pay you.
Right.
Remember we talked about one that's gonna come in and be with you here and for a week, they wanna see 30 houses?
Yeah.
Or retainer.
Yeah, ask, we need a 3% commission and $1,000 up front that'll be applied to it if you buy something. Because not everybody's gonna make their mind up. They can get to Birmingham and look at 30 houses and say, nah, I think Atlanta's gonna work better for us. Well, you've been hauling them around all week long. Get paid for it. But get that check made out to who?
Your
The
broker.
broker. Okay.
Steve, what are your thoughts on putting people, you said you've been riding around, do you put people in your car?
No,
Okay.
nobody's ever getting in my car.
Okay.
And I'm not getting in their car either.
Absolutely on that one.
No, it's just too dangerous. The liability. If you're driving somebody around and you have a wreck, oh, you're never getting out from under that.
No.
Okay, next one. A licensee represents the seller and a consumer calls and wants to see the property. How can this happen?
You were the listing agent.
Yes,
The licensee represents
you're representing
the
a seller.
and consumer.
And somebody calls out of the blue and says, hey, I'd like to see that house.
Okay.
Can you do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a
Do you
transaction.
got to have any kind of forms or anything with them?
It's a transaction.
With the potential buyer?
Yeah,
Well, you're the agent to the seller.
yes.
Right.
So what are you
You
going
would have to
to
be
do?
a dual, you'd have
Not
to.
necessarily.
Transaction.
You can be transaction broker with them.
Yeah.
They just called you and said, hey, I'd like to see that house.
Mhm.
All right, I'll show you the house.
Okay.
I don't have a relationship with you, but I've still got to give you what?
The
The recad form. Now, if they want you to represent them,
Then you get a.
then you're gonna have to move to dual agency. And the seller, you're gonna have to get them on that as well. So, you can do it. Just gotta make sure you do it right.
Everybody gets a recap.
Everybody gets a
Yeah.
recad.
Okay.
We're gonna get to that, might as well talk about it right
Okay.
now. What are the exceptions to recad? Who do you not have to give one to?
Property management.
Property management doesn't require it, and if you're working with an artificial entity,
That's
like the
corporate
government or an LLC company, you don't have to give them a recad.
Okay.
Okay, your listing has expired and the seller listed with another company. It happens. Because you told them the price is $199 and they said, oh no, mine's the nicest one on the planet. It's worth $250. I want you to put it on the market for $250. So you say, okay, I'll put it on there for $250, but I told you $199 is the price that it should be.
Yeah.
Now it expired. They hired a new company. What do you think they told them to do?
Put it on the market for the lower.
The lower price. They're going to show them the same information you did and say, well, this should sell for $199. And they say, okay, well, let's try that. That other agent didn't know what they were doing. It happens. So what happens now, because you get a buyer client now that wants to see that house. And you tell them you know that the seller will take less because they're one payment away from foreclosure
You take
now.
it to the grave. You take
That's
it to
right,
the
that's
grave.
confidential
No,
information.
no.
That you can't use that against them.
Right.
Even after they die.
Okay, got that? Seller tells you at your listing presentation that they owe more on the house than it's worth and will have to dip into the savings to do the deal. And you don't get the listing. But the next month you've got a buyer client that wants to see that house. What can you tell them?
Wait a minute, I'm confused. It sounds
That
as
you have you just show them the house.
Yeah, you'd show them the
You can't
house.
tell them anything about what the seller told you.
Well, it depends on whether you had the listing. Then it's confidential information. But if they just told you, hey, we got to sell the house, we're getting up against the wall, they're probably telling everybody that. They didn't just tell you, they told everybody. And you're just going to pass that information along to your client now. This person was never your client anyway.
Okay.
They just called a bunch of people in and said, hey, can you help me sell the house?
Oh, listing presentation. Okay.
Yeah, you just did a
Okay.
presentation and they just having that diarrhea of the mouth, telling you everything.
Okay.
They told you about their family and their money problems, and they're not just keeping that secret between you and them, they're telling everybody they meet, help me sell this house.
So I do pass that on to my
I
client.
think you should.
Yes.
Because you've got agency, you're supposed to advise your buyer now.
No.
Not in Alabama, but what must be disclosed?
Health and safety, structural.
Known material defects, not things that are obvious, like there's a great big hole in the roof. You don't have to tell them, hey, there's a great big hole in the roof. They can see it. And in Alabama, we have buyer beware. It's on to the buyer to check the property out. That's why we have so many home inspectors in Alabama. It's big business to check these houses. What must not be disclosed?
What they call,
What,
must not.
Yeah, what can you not tell them about?
race, I mean.
Yeah, any of our fair housing
fair
issues?
housing.
Yeah.
Can't tell them anything about it. Well, who lived here?
Yeah,
What church did they go to? I heard they died of AIDS.
yeah.
We're not talking about any of that stuff. And other disclose, you've got to disclose you are an agent. That's our recap. 2 years ago in your listing, it was a murder-suicide. Are you required to disclose this?
You're not required.
There you go, not
you
in
probably
Alabama.
should.
No laws on stigmatized properties here. It's probably a good idea to talk to the seller and say, yeah, we know this, other people know it, the neighbors are gonna tell them. It's best that we go ahead and get it out in the open now. Oh, a sex predator lives next door to your listing. You don't know about it. Are you required to discover it?
No.
No,
No.
no,
But you do know about it. Are you required to disclose it?
Yes.
yes.
No.
No?
You do.
It's
know
outside
about
the
it.
boundaries of your property. It has nothing to do with this property.
But wouldn't that be like all the questions saying, oh, I know there's an airport nearby.
Well,
I know that
everybody
they're
see
getting ready to
airport.
I know they're getting ready to put a highway in
It's
and all that
outside, it's
stuff.
outside the boundaries of this property. Stuff like this
But it affects that property.
doesn't affect this property.
But what if your client has children?
You got a gray area there now. You don't want to sneak around.
Right, I was just-
If you were told where there's a sex predator living next door, well, where I live,
Right.
there's a halfway house 1 block from me that's all they have. If I sell my house, do I need to disclose that? No.
Find out.
Has nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with my house unless they're living in my basement
Right.
Okay.
and they're gonna stay there after I move,
Okay.
then we need to talk about them.
Okay.
But if they're not on the property, no,
Yes,
you don't
that's
need to
okay.
disclose that.
Okay.
Sounds like you should.
Yeah.
Morally, you think you should.
Well, how does Megan's Law relate to that then?
This is Megan's Law. They're out there. There's a website. If they want to know, they can go to this website and here they are where they are.
Right.
But you don't have the duty to find that out. And even if you know, that's not something that affects this property. That may be the address that they gave the what's it called, the prison parole or
The
whoever
parole-
it
the
is.
parole
That's
board.
who they gave. That's where their mama lives. They never intended to move into that house. They're not living there. But you got to notice that there's one living there, but you don't even know that they're actually living there.
That's true.
And you don't know what kind of sex predator they are.
Sure.
Whether it's somebody that, did something really silly, stupid, like, I heard about a guy that got arrested for peeing behind a dumpster at a bar. Now he's a sex predator.
No,
Yes.
bar and peeing, they pretty much go
This
together.
morning on the radio, this ex-husband reported the wife for walking nude, showing her breasts to the kids, and now they named her.
Yeah.
They've titled her, and I was like, what?
That's a sex
Yeah,
worker?
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they did.
Wow.
So I'm not going there.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with this property I've got listed.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know there's a toxic mold in the basement behind the new paneling because the seller told you about it. What are you going to do about this?
You got to disclose.
You better disclose that. Even though they said, don't tell anybody.
Yes.
No. If they tell you that, don't take the listing. Because there are other things they're not telling you. 6 months after the buyer moved into the home, you helped them find there was a big storm and the roof leaked. The buyer calls to tell you their attorney will be contacting you. They didn't want a home inspection, so what are we going to do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay, let you.
Because we had a form that said, I told you to get a home inspection.
Right,
If they say, I don't want one, this is Alabama, buyer beware.
Right.
Get that form off the, we got it on our website. You can pull it right off there and have them sign that saying, I told you. You knew the roof had a small leak and didn't tell the buyer. Now what?
You are responsible.
Now, little small leak, if it's a little small leak,
No structural
yeah, it's
damage.
not health and safety. That's really not a material fact. My house has got a little leak where a limb hit it a few months ago. I fixed it, but it's still got a little leak there. Do I need to disclose that?
I guess not.
No, that's not health and safety. It's really not a material defect. It's just a little leak. It's like a drip when it rains real hard. But I know it's there. I'm going to get back up there and fix it. But if I sell the house first, I'm not going to talk about it.
Everybody in TV land know it now.
Yeah. What does fiduciary mean?
You have you are loyalty to your client.
Higher level of loyalty to them. You got to put them before you. You know, you just want to show them the listings that are paying 5%, but they found one over here that's paying 2%. You gonna show them that one?
Yeah.
You gonna make up excuses? No. No, you've got a fiduciary duty kicked in there. Put their needs before your wants. When must recad be presented?
Before agency can be established.
Before any confidential information is disclosed. And we just did who's exempt. All right, what's caveat emptor?
Let the buyer beware.
Let the buyer beware. Watch on the test for caveat ventor. That's let the seller beware, and that doesn't apply here. What are exceptions to caveat emptor?
What's the exception?
They were written on her hand.
Oh, H-A-N.
H-A-N-D. H,
Honesty?
health and safety.
Oh, this is the one that get me every time.
Health and safety. A is assumption of duty. That's when you're their agent. You've got a higher level of duty to them. N is new construction. Caveat emptor really won't apply there because the builder's got a warranty on it. They call them, they'll fix it. And then D is direct question. They ask you a direct question, you've got to tell them the whole truth because a half truth is a whole lie. So caveat emptor exceptions are written on your hand, H-A-N-D.
What was the A for?
Assumption of duty. You're their agent. Your buyer wants to make an offer on a property you have listed. What have you got to do?
You got to do an agent.
You got to need a dual agency form in there. Then you can make an offer on it. or help them make an offer on it. Now, you're gonna have to kind of put that wall up. Now, you can't tell the buyer that they're 3 months behind on their payment. You can't tell the seller that they just won the lottery. What are the services that require a real estate license?
Oh.
Barn sale.
Barn sale. Yeah, barn sale. Help me out there.
Buy,
Buy,
auction,
auction,
rent,
rent,
negotiate.
negotiate, and then sale is sale, aid,
lease,
lease,
and
and
exchange.
exchange. Well, Tara's got them down. Look at there. Look at her go.
I got tired of reading all that other stuff.
So, who can you perform a real estate service for without a license?
Your
My
spouse,
spouse,
parent, child.
Parent, child, spouse, or your own property. You don't need a license to sell your own. What happens to the company license if the broker dies?
The sub-broker, what happens to the company?
associate
license?
broker?
The associate broker takes over.
Well, there may not be an associate broker.
Oh, okay. What
Then
happens to
a licensee that's been there for 6 months?
They've had a license for a
For a
year
year. Then
and take over. Now, they will have to
Take the test.
make a new application for a new company because when the broker died, the company license died with them.
Right.
Because the broker, the qualifying broker is the one that made the company application.
Okay.
And that's who's responsible for everything there. They're gone. So we gotta have somebody else to move in to be responsible. Now, you said, been active for a year.
Year.
Now, they've got 6 months that they can act as the qualifying broker, but during that 6 months, they've gotta take the broker course
Right.
and pass the test. I'm guessing you would have to get some kind of variance from the real estate commission saying, because the rule is you've got to be a broker for, you got to be a salesperson for 2 out of the last 3 years to take the broker test. But here, this just says you had to have been a salesperson for a year and then you got 6 months to get the broker license. I'm guessing they've got some kind of variance to where you can say, okay, I'm doing this, and they'll let you continue.
Right.
You've had multiple offers on a listing. What should you do?
Highest best use.
Highest and best. Yeah, go back, send an email back to all the agents that sent you those offers to say we've got a highest and we've got multiple offer situation. Please send me your highest and best and put a timeline on it. Give them 48 hours. A broker out of their home.
I want to ask you one
Alright.
other thing. How can a broker operate out of their home? Do they have to have a separate phone line?
Supposed to, but now everybody's got a cell phone.
Okay.
Your rules on operating an office, you have to have signage if the landlord allows signage. Here, we've got a marquee out by the street. We got a sign on the door. And then when you walk in, there's a big sign. So you know you're going into a real estate office.
Right.
You got to let them know, hey, you come in here, we're going to sell you something.
Using my magic powers.
Yeah, use that silver tongue. Okay, we got, let's see, we just got that one, all right. If you're a limited consensual dual agent, who must you prepare the net sheet for?
Both.
Both sides. How many hours of post-license instruction must you have?
30.
30 hours. All right, after you've got that, you got your temporary license, how many months do you have to complete the post-license class?
6
If
months.
you were, well, we got 2 things there.
6
If you're
months
active,
If you're active, it's 6 months.
6 months.
If you're inactive, it's a year.
Yeah, 12 months. Now, what happens to your license if the post-license is not completed by the deadline?
Oh, they lapse.
Well, the first one, they're active,
If they're active,
It goes
for a year.
inactive. And you still got 6 more months to do the post license. But if you don't do the post license during that year period, what happens to it? It lapses. And you get to come back in here and do all this over again. Won't that be fun?
So they go they become inactive after 6 months.
If you are active. If you
are
start out active,
Mhm.
you've got 6 months to
6
do the
months.
post license. If you don't, it goes inactive. And then you've got 6 more months to complete it.
Okay, so.
And if you started out, if you started out inactive, you just got a whole year to do it. And if you don't, then you're out. We've got several violations. I just kind of scattered them in through this so we wouldn't have to deal with all of them at once. These are the things that they get ill about. Violations of their rules. They don't like that. In fact, that is a violation of the rules for you to violate a rule. If you plead guilty, or they've got that, I guess that's a Latin word, nolo contendere, which means I'm just not putting up a defense. You got me. Just do what you want to do. If you do that, you're pretty much going to probably lose your license if it's a felony, and it involved a crime of moral turpitude, such as credit card theft. Those kind
Bad
of
check writing.
Well, I don't know about bad check writing because a lot of people do that by accident. I don't know if they'd take your license for that.
Yeah, explain it.
But if you rob the bank,
But you can write bad checks from somebody else's account.
well, if you did that, then I got a
That would
problem.
be more turpitude.
But remember the night we had our cases? We had 4 or 5 people every month that wrote a bad check to the real estate commission. So I don't think they're going to take your license, but they're going to take your money. Okay, having a final money judgment regarding a real estate transaction. You get sued over a real estate transaction, and if you get sued over it, you've got 10 days to let the real estate commission know, hey, I got sued over a real estate transaction. Then you've got 10 days after it's, what's it called, settled or not settled, but the final judgment. When that hands down, you got 10 days to let them know how it turned out. But if you end up with a judgment against you because of this, they're probably going to pull your license. Next one is obligation of licensees to all parties in a transaction. That's our hard questions. Honesty, accounting, reasonable care, disclosure, answer the questions, disclose your interest in the deal, and transmit all offers. Those are your duties to everybody. So how much is the recovery fee?
$35.
$30. And when's it paid?
When you get your license.
Which one?
Permanent license.
No,
You start out with a temporary.
And then when you
You
take
don't
your
pay it
post,
then.
you
Oh,
get after
with
it.
your
You do your post license, then you get an original license. That's when you kick in the $30. What else we need to know about the recovery fund?
it's one time.
It's one time unless,
You become a broker.
no, you don't pay it again, it's coming up to a broker.
Unless they need to increase the,
Right, if it
replenish
drops
the
down below $500,000,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
they're gonna assess everybody for another $30. What are exceptions on, exemptions on the recovery fund?
If you,
If you were inactive and they come in and assess everybody again, you don't have to pay.
Oh, okay.
How much is a criminal background check?
isn't it $75?
The background is $25.
$25.
A lot of the fees are $25. This is one of them that is $25. How much is a temporary license?
$150,
$150. How much is the fingerprint charge?
$75.
That's where I get the $75.
The fingerprint charge has changed a couple of times. I just looked it up this afternoon, and right now it's $48.25. It was 75, and then somebody told me it's 71. Now I looked it up, it's $48.25. right
Such an
now.
odd number.
Yeah,
I mean, it might as well just round it on.
and while we're talking about fingerprint charge, there's a thing up here on the board about how you've got to do it. There's 2 or 3 places here in Birmingham that you can go there, and they do the electronic fingerprints now. Used to, it was on a card and you could just go to the police station and they'd do it. You can't do that now if you live in Alabama. But if you lived in Georgia or any other state and you're getting a reciprocal license here, you can do the card and send it to them. What if you want to buy a property that you have listed?
Must disclose it.
You're interested in it.
Now, you got it listed and you decide, yeah, I think I could live here. What should you do?
You have to let the people know that you're interested in
There we
buying.
go. Let's just stop right now. I've made a decision. I want to buy this.
Right.
Get your broker involved to begin with. Say, what should I do? The broker's probably going to say, okay, you've got agency with them. You're really not going to have agency with them if you want to buy the house because you want the best deal.
Right.
And unfortunately, you already know what they're going to take.
Yeah.
So it kind of puts the seller at a disadvantage. He's really not going to be able to negotiate much with you. But you need to send the seller a letter saying, I have decided I would like to make an offer on your property. And then let him decide what he wants to do. He's probably going to say, okay, send it to me. And then he's going to dig his heels in because you've already told him all these things and y'all know a lot about each other. And he said, well, I saw you drive up in that brand new Mercedes. Here you're trying to beat me down. No, I want you to pay full price. But like everything else, it's negotiating. But you need to stop right there and say, okay, I'm really not your agent anymore. I'm working for me now.
Do you think, I mean, is that a good practice? I mean, would that be something that you would want to do, even if?
You'll be surprised how many deals you get in and say, you know, I could make some money on this. This is something I'd like to have. Most of the time, that just is a fleeting thought. But if you really keep thinking about it and thinking about it, it's been on the market for a month or 2 and you've really been thinking about it and you say, yeah, I like this house, I'd like to live here. You just need to stop. Okay, I'm not your agent now. You probably need to let your broker
So do the broker then becomes that seller's agent?
Not really,
Really?
because you're a sub-agent under your broker. So if the broker's the agent, you're working for the broker, it's still like you're their agent.
Okay, so who's representing the seller?
He's not being represented, but you still remember your duties. You've got confidential information
Okay, right.
that you're probably going to try to use it against them, but
Right.
this is reality, folks.
Okay. I was just
For the test, you just need to, everybody needs to know in writing
Everybody needs to.
that I'm interested in buying this property.
Okay.
What is void?
What is void?
Yeah, well,
Listen.
we're talking about contracts.
It's a contract that
Illegal?
Could have been for
Doesn't have-
something illegal.
or someone incompetent or.
It was never
A contract.
valid.
Okay.
A contract that's void was never valid because it was missing one of those 4.
Right.
Okay.
Remember our legal purpose we're
Yes.
writing on? Got to be a legal purpose. So we've got Sheriff Taylor riding on the porpoise
And
along with Floyd the
Opie.
barber and Opie. And that represents the purpose is legal, and then Sheriff Taylor's the authority. You got to have legal authority to do the deal. Floyd is the barber, competent. You don't know if he's competent or not, but the person has to be competent to do the deal. And then age with Opie. Opie's not old enough to sign a contract. How old do you have to be to sign a real estate contract in Alabama?
18 and married or 19.
Yes, 18 and married or 19, yes. So, what makes one voidable?
Duress.
Under duress?
Duress is one. What else?
Legal age.
Legal age,
Yeah.
Opie signing the contract with Floyd to rent his garage apartment. Is it enforceable on Floyd?
No.
Yes, on Floyd it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
But not on Oak.
But not on
It's
Oak.
voidable.
Okay.
Opie can void it. Opie can say, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want this anymore.
Right up until he's 19.
Right, you're right up to the age of majority for him. He may be married when he's 18. And what is a valid contract?
When you have the 4 elements.
You've got everything's there. How about excatory?
It's not
Not
complete.
complete.
Not
Pending.
completed. We're missing something like a contingency, such as, what are our contingencies?
Inspection.
Inspection,
Finance.
financing, they may have another house they got to sell.
Okay.
It's not, it's sitting at the escrow agent's desk, waiting on everything else to get in. Now, when it is executed, what has happened?
Everything has been
Everything's
completed.
done. What is our license period here? When's it start?
Let's see, license period.
Same as our
September.
tax year.
October to September.
Oh, yes.
October 1st, back around to
To
September
September
30th. Now, how much is the fee to renew it?
150?
$170 to renew it. They may ask you how much it is per year. So watch them on, we've already talked about watching them on times and numbers. How about the education fee? You have to pay that as well? Yes.
Education fee?
Yeah, every time you renew it, every 2 years, you're gonna kick in $15
Oh.
to the education fee. And that's
For
the,
conferences and workshops.
yeah, that kind of stuff. They do a lot of stuff with that.
So you pay every 2 years?
Every 2 years.
Oh,
Now,
what's that one?
your license is active from October 1st back around to September 30th, and it's every other year, even numbered years.
Okay,
So this year in 2019, we didn't have to renew our license.
right.
Next year in 2020, we have to renew our license. Now, it says September 30th, but you must renew it by the end of August, or else there's a $150 penalty. You still have the entire month of September to finish your CE. And if you don't have the CE finished by the end of September, October 1st, your license goes inactive.
Right.
Do you pay a recovery fee each time you renew?
No.
No, just that one time. How about, can you get an Alabama real estate license if your license has been revoked in another state? No. How about if your license expired in another state?
No,
Yes. They expire.
it expired in
Not in
one
another
state.
state if you inactive in another one.
Now, let's just say you had a Georgia license and it
Expired.
expired. Can you get an Alabama license?
No,
If you
It's two
do
separate
the course,
states if you do it everything over again.
but not without the course.
not without the course, if it's expired.
Right.
You can't do a reciprocal though.
Well, if it's active or inactive, it's still a valid license, then you can get a reciprocal.
Okay.
You have to take 6 hours, I don't have enough fingers there, 6 hours of law,
Okay.
which you can sit in on the pre-licensed law sessions, and that'll cover your 6 hours for the reciprocal. What do you have to do to reactivate your license once it's gone inactive?
Do your continuing
Do your
education.
continuing education and pay the
Pay
fee.
fee.
How many members does the Alabama Real Estate Commission have?
Is it 9?
5.
9.
9.
How many for a quorum?
5.
5.
5. Who appoints the commissioners?
Governor.
Governors.
Who confirms?
The
The
Senate.
Senate.
How many have broker's license?
1,
8.
2.
8, yes.
8?
There's one consumer advocate that has never been licensed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay. So it's 8 has license.
Y'all remember how much they get paid?
$600.
$300 a month.
Oh,
I would give them too much.
Yeah,
So where'd you get
they
that
want you to
from?
write their check.
And that's small potatoes. I thought it was
How long do they serve?
Two. Two
Two
terms.
terms.
They can serve
They
2.
can.
But one term is,
One term.
5 years.
years.
and if they, I don't know if they have to be reconfirmed or just say, yeah, I want to do it again. But you can serve as many as 2 terms. What kind of penalties can ARAC, and that's Alabama Real Estate Commission, that's the way you usually see it written. What kind of penalties can they impose?
Revoke license.
They can revoke it.
Revoke.
What else can they
Fines.
do? They can fine you how much?
Up to
$1,200?
Minimum of,
2,500.
minimum
No, minimum
of
of $10, $100.
$100,
Oh,
maximum of
20.
I wasn't-
2,500. Can they give you jail time?
No.
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 Sometimes I'd
I
like
wish they
to.
could.
Yeah, sometimes they'd like to.
And I always mess up on that question when I hear it. I mean, when I read it, and it asks something about can the ARC do this, and I always check penalty. I mean
Jail
jail
time.
time. Like, can I
You
go back
want
and
them
read
to
it?
be able to
Like,
lock your people up.
I have to be able to put you in jail.
So don't go and
Yeah.
stand in front of them. Can you pay somebody to do business with you?
No, that's a
Yes.
kickback. What?
Yes, you can pay them to do business with you. You sure can.
What you mean?
They
As,
used to
as,
be-
as an agent?
Yes. There used to be a guy that had a billboard. I'll
I read
send you on a
one.
cruise if you list your house with me. That's fine, as long as everybody knows. You disclose it. Yes, I paid them, $500 to list their house with me.
Oh, okay.
As long as everybody knows, especially the lenders, they're the ones that really need to know how money's moving around.
And that's not considered a kickback?
That is fine.
Oh, wow.
That is fine.
As long as it's
But-
disclosed.
So can you do it under the
No.
table?
No.
No, everybody's gotta know. Can a listing have an automatic renewal?
No.
No. What else do we need to know about a listing agreement?
They're
What's
what,
that
90
name?
days?
Not necessarily.
Must have a
Gotta, yes,
expiration
the
date on it.
expiration date,
Must be signed.
got to be signed, by all the people on the deed, or it's really not valid, because sometimes you have a divorce situation, both of them on the deed, and one of them's said, I'm not signing anything. Well, the listing agreement won't mean anything to you if the other one's not gonna sign it. You're not gonna get paid, because they're probably not gonna sign the sales contract either. So,
Got to have the agent's name, got to have the property description and address.
the 3 things that you've got to have, one is
Expiration date. signed.
expiration date, no automatic renewals, and this is the only piece of paper you have to leave with them when you do it. All your other contracts, you can get back to them in a reasonable time. Listing agreement, you leave it with them when you do it. So go ahead and fill it out before you leave the office and make a copy of it, and when they sign one of them, give them the other one. And then you fulfill that part of the law. Okay, jump into some more violations here. These are honesty and good faith issues. That first one, I have seen that, I think we had one in our case studies, where that first one, they procured their license by fraud. They lied about, has your license been revoked in another state? And they said, no. And they running a check on you.
Yeah.
And you paying them to run it. Go ahead and tell them now, I got if it's been revoked in another state, you're not getting it here. You probably have to file a form called determination of eligibility for a license and send them, here's what happened. Well, my license got revoked because, and they're going to look at it and say, yeah, they should have revoked it. We don't want you here. Or they may look at it and say, well, that was 15 years ago, and it really wasn't your fault. It was somebody in the office, and they may. Don't know. Just just be honest with them is what this is saying. Misrepresentation, dishonest behavior dealing with personal real estate transactions. They look at us under a microscope when we're dealing with our own property. All they've got to do, because when somebody files a complaint against you, they've got to say, well, here's what they did wrong. If it's your own property, all they got to say is, I think they did me wrong. And then they'll open a case and start investigating you. So the rules are tighter on you and your family. Failing to disclose known defects and any significant defects. And that's anything health and safety, you've got to disclose that. Latent defects, you know about the termites under here, well, that's hidden. So that's latent. You've got to talk about it if you know it. The mold behind the paneling, you know about it, you got to talk about it. Making false promises to influence or induce someone to do something. Yeah, false promise would be, our listing commission's 6%, but I think I can sell this one pretty fast. I'll do it for 4. And then they say, okay, and they sign the deal with you, and you write the listing agreement up, and it says 6%. Now, you didn't put the part down there, if I do it, it's 4.
Yeah.
And they just, y'all are talking, and they sign it, and you leave it with them, and you do the deal, and the attorney cuts out 6%. They're gonna say, wait a minute, you said if you did both sides, it'd be 4%. And you say, did I say that? I don't remember saying that. I don't think I would have ever said anything like that. My broker wouldn't let me do something like that. And the next phone call is going to be who?
The commission.
Real estate commission. Say, here's what they did. And they will give you a call. Continuing flagrant misrepresentation or false promises through agents or advertising. We used to call these Humpty Dumpty ads. You'd run an ad, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Hoover for $59,000. Oh goodness, the phone is going to ring off the hook. But that's a false ad. You can't do that. You're advertising, remember 3 things. Got to be, there's the first one, got to be truthful, got to have your name in it, and the broker's name in it. The publishing, deceitful advertising, failure to identify yourself as a licensee, there you go. Influencing a party to break a contract. This is called crossing a sign. Say an agent's got a listing across the street from where you live, and you just go over there and tell your neighbor, so why'd you list with them? I'm an agent, I can do it better. You should be listing with me, man. We're in the same clubs and everything. I'm going to be mad at you from now on. Well, you're inducing this other party to break the contract with that other broker to substitute one where you're going to benefit. Next one, engaging in contact that demonstrates dishonest dealings, bad faith, untrustworthiness. That covers a lot of ground. You can do a lot of things that shows bad faith, untrustworthiness. And the property management business, there was a case where a broker told the tenants, there's going to be a pet fee. It's going to be $20 a pet. And the tenants say, okay, I want my pet. I'd rather have the pets than my children. And so my mom would. So this broker was taking $20 a month from these tenants and not sending it on to the owner.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. And some owner found out about it, and who do you think they called? The real estate commission said, I'm not sure what's going on here, but he's collecting money that he's not sending to me. And that pet rent is rent. And he was withholding that. So that was dishonest dealings, bad faith, he had them all wrapped up into one. They took his license. That was one of those things that we looked at. Using an unlicensed person to act on behalf of a licensee. Your receptionist, they don't have a license. You pay them, to sit there and answer the phone. Well, you're real busy. And somebody calls and says, hey, I want to see the house next door to your office. Can you show it to me? I said, well, I'm just really busy this afternoon, but I'll send the receptionist over to open the door for you.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, that's what you've done here. You, an unlicensed person, you sent them out to do services that require a license. Failing to disclose to the owner of your listing that you intend to purchase or acquire an ownership interest directly or indirectly. We just talked about that one a minute ago. Let them know, because there's a violation right there. Next one, failing to disclose to a lender or guaranteeing agency or any other interested party the true terms of a contract. This is a holdover from way back. Used to, all our contracts were on paper, and you could write up 2 different contracts and submit one to the lender. And well, that's mortgage fraud right there. Now everything, when you write a contract, most likely it's sent through DocuSign, and it goes out to everybody that should get it. Acting negligently or incompetently. You can lose your license for that. Remember the R on reasonable care?
Yeah.
If you don't give them reasonable care, that's one of your basic things you got to do. If you don't do that, you can lose your license. Okay, we covered that little group. Now let's go back to some easy ones.
Can a listing?
There we go. Can a listing be for a year?
Yes.
Absolutely. When the market crashed, it was common to have one on for a year. Now it's more like probably 6 months. And if you haven't sold it in 6 months, what's wrong?
It's too high.
The price is too high.
Or the condition.
Yeah, there could be the condition, but price is a great equalizer. If the condition is bad, the price drops. So there's a number here that it will sell to somebody. But you can put a year on it, that's fine. I don't know that I would go over a year.
Right.
But I think you could go up to, we used to do a year because they would stay on the market a year and then still not sell. And the prices are dropping every month.
Why would you advise a year, more than a year?
That would almost sound to me like a renewing listing. Because remember, it's got to have a expiration date. And if I said, yeah, we'll make it for 5 years.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I think we've gone over the line.
Yeah.
Does a contract to sell a house need to be in writing?
Yes.
Yes, but can you do it without it being in writing?
Yes, you can.
Yes. You could say, hey, I'll buy your house. Let's meet down at the lawyer's next Tuesday, and I'll bring my checkbook. You bring the deed. Or the deed wouldn't matter. The lawyer's going to make the deed up. You show up and give me clear title. We're going to do a title search. And if you can give me clear title, I'll give you the check. We don't have to have a contract. But if I don't show up next Friday, you can't say, you said you were going to buy the house. I'm going to sue you for, what's that called? Specific performance. Can't do that.
The broker.
The broker only.
Of the salesperson, not
broker,
just
yes.
a broker.
If you get arrested for credit card fraud, when must you notify the commission?
10 days.
Within 10 days. And then after the court decision, when it's settled, how long then?
Is it 4 days?
10 more days. It's 10 days. That's an easy one. 10 days on each of those.
Yeah, 2 10s.
How old must one be to sign a contract to purchase real estate?
19 or 18 if married.
Married.
Okay.
I'm 19.
What does acknowledgement mean?
Acknowledgement.
Accept.
Is that
That's when the guy squeezes the little
Notary?
a notary?
Squeezes a little notary stamp on it.
Yeah.
Acknowledge means notarized.
Alright.
And spell check doesn't like the word notarized. What are the 3 methods for a legal description?
3 methods?
It's not the address, I know that much.
Not bad. That's not sufficient. A what?
A survey?
No.
No?
No.
Legal description.
Legal. What are the 3 methods for legal description?
The plot, the,
Okay, you're on the right track.
The size of the lot?
no, the
Meets and bounds?
Meets and bounds?
Do I need to go get Thomas Jefferson?
it look like you do. Meets and
Talk to y'all.
bounds.
Thomas Jefferson actually came up with one of them.
Some kind of survey,
He was a surveyor back in where they lived up in Virginia. What kind of survey method did they use up there? The oldest
Block
one?
and block. No?
Meets and bounds?
Meets and bounds.
I thought we said
Yeah, I
that.
thought you said no.
Yeah. I
That's
thought
why
it
I'm like, I'm
Was we
puzzled.
left that up?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's there,
Sorry.
it's there.
Meets and bounds,
Probably
the
'cause
oldest,
it's
that's
the
the one
oldest.
that they used in the original 13 colonies. Meets means what?
Some of the
One
ones and
means
one.
Meets is like
bounds,
meters.
one means-
Oh.
That's a distance. Bounds,
Boundaries?
a direction.
Okay.
So you go so many meets and then bounds off in another direction. All right, so after that, Thomas Jefferson said, hey, we just got this Louisiana Purchase. How are we going to survey it? Because when we got it under a meets and bounds. Went up the Mississippi River to about Canada, across the Rocky Mountains, and then back down to New Orleans. That's a meets and bounds. Point of beginning, up and around to point of ending. But he said, it's just too much to do. How can we measure this and survey it?
You know what you just said?
What, line and block?
Line and block.
I don't
No?
know. How can
A
you?
government
Yeah, there's a
survey?
third one.
That's the third one.
Who did he work for? The government?
I said government survey?
Government survey, that's also a rectangular
Yeah,
survey.
rectangular survey.
Well, I hope y'all don't get a question on legal descriptions. Y'all been doing so good up to there, it's like your brain just turned off. I don't want to do this anymore.
You know what? Because it's got something to do with numbers or, you know.
Trying to put it all in perspective, that's all.
Our last one was the lot and block.
Yeah.
What does a lot and block description have to have in it to be valid? State, county, subdivision name, the block and the lot. If you've got those 5 things, you can identify that lot and block survey anywhere in the country.
State.
State, county, the subdivision name,
And the line and the block.
lot and the block. And that zooms it right down to one piece of property. Which of these methods are used in Alabama?
Line and block.
We use lot and block. What else we use?
Government survey.
Government survey. And there may be some meets and bounds out here too.
Some
Because,
old.
yeah, you can pull, you know, one, well, like a lot and block is going to come off of another one. The meets and bounds is probably going to be referenced to another one. It's in this section, this township. We're going to get to township. Let's get that. The line that runs roughly from Huntsville down through Huntsville. That's a meridian, and it's called the Huntsville Meridian.
So instead of saying meridian line, call it the Huntsville.
The Huntsville Meridian here, if we were in South Alabama, it's called the St. Stephen's Meridian. That's because they came up from the Florida line measuring, and they came down from the Tennessee line. And so they had 2 different meridians.
Wait a minute, St. Stephenson comes from Florida?
Yeah, St. Stephen's is over by Mobile. That used to be the capital of Alabama, the first one. So that's where they started that. Which directions do townships run?
In the
East and west.
Yeah, east and west.
So where would township 1 south, range 1 west, Huntsville Meridian be? Well, we started the Tennessee line, so 1 south is going to be 6 miles. That's a strip of land, 6 miles from Mississippi all the way to Georgia. That's township 1 south, Huntsville Meridian. And if we've got 1 west, that would be 6 mile strip just west of the Huntsville Meridian. So that particular piece of property would be right up on the Tennessee line, right lined up with Huntsville. You can spot, anywhere that you've got the government survey, you can use these abbreviations as long as you put the meridian in it. It pinpoints that down to 6 miles by 6 miles, pretty much anywhere that was not in the original 13 colonies. And what's the survey method called?
Rectangular survey.
Let's switch it up here a little bit. What's a reason a contract may be void?
Illegal purpose.
In a legal purpose, yeah.
Incompetence.
A legal purpose. Well, is it,
A reason
yeah,
a
if it was,
contract
if
may
they
be
were, yeah, if
void.
they, yeah, and
They're
they're
not
voidable.
Yeah, the rest are not competent.
Yeah, I think that would be in voidable, because, you know, when they signed it, you didn't know. But then later on, you found out, well, you know, they just checked themselves out of the sane asylum. You didn't know that when they signed the contract, but it would be voidable then at their option, actually.
So the rest could also be.
Yeah, duress could be voidable, age, at the option of the minor. And then authority. The person that signed the contract didn't have the authority to sign it. So that's, actually was void from the beginning because they didn't have the,
Right.
The person that signed the contract didn't,
yeah, they didn't have the authority to sign it.
and that makes it
That was void from the
it's
beginning.
void. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, your four legals.
right.
What's adverse possession?
Is that when
the
somebody
20
takes
years.
over somebody's
Yeah.
property?
They just
what,
move
3
right in.
years and
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta be
the
years.
consecutive?
Yeah, a bunch of years, and then they've got to pay the taxes, they get to be open, hostile, notorious they call it. The owner, if they had just gone there, they would have known somebody's taken over their land.
What is that? It's a word for it. Is that the same as
Squatting?
squatters?
It probably would be like squatting,
Okay,
because
so someone takes possession.
but I think on squatting, you're not paying the taxes.
Oh, well,
The
And
person
that's-
starts paying the taxes?
Yeah, on adverse possession, you're supposed to be paying the taxes. Squatters don't pay taxes.
okay,
They just move in,
Yeah.
but they've got possession.
okay. So the definition for adverse possession was someone,
It's poncho. Let's see, possession, P-A,
We said we weren't learning.
Yeah,
what was the A? I can't remember what the A is.
every time you got ready to do it, you
Yeah,
don't
I
want to do
don't
it.
know it well enough to, I need
Have
to
to look
remember,
that
I need to write that on my fingers.
but someone takes possession of the property.
Yeah, somebody takes possession of the property. It takes a lot, like 20 years before you can
Yeah.
actually claim
Okay, well,
ownership.
they can claim ownership.
What was cola? We drink a cola every time we do a,
Consideration?
yes?
Obedience?
Obedience?
No.
This is a
Offer.
offer.
Consideration,
And
offer.
then we gotta have our four legals
Legal,
and then acceptance.
and then acceptance.
Can you have a verbal lease?
Yes.
Yeah.
For how long?
6 months.
6 months. When must the landlord present the covenants and restrictions to a leasee?
At the beginning of the lease?
Yeah.
Another lease?
When they sign the lease, they need to know, here are the rules. You can't park your RV in the driveway. What's the maximum security deposit we can hold on a lease in Alabama?
Is it 2 months?
1 month. 1 month's the maximum you can hold. Now, if you want more, the way you get around that is you collect the security deposit, and then you say, we need some prepaid rent. We want your last month's rent prepaid now.
And you don't call that a deposit.
Yeah, you're not calling it a deposit, it's rent. And you log it in as rent, not as security money. You label it. You actually put it over in the security account because you haven't earned it yet. So you leave it over there, but it's labeled in your security account, last month's rent, and just be like, you may say, you gotta say, say it started today, it would be December's rent of 2020.
So you still would put it in your security?
Yeah, because
account,
you
your
can't give it
trust
to the
account.
owner because it's not earned yet.
Oh, okay.
Now, what if you gave it to the owner and then they went bankrupt?
Mm.
Then you owe it back.
Yeah, who's gonna account for that money now?
For that.
We faced that early in our career. We had somebody that he was coming to UAB to do a year program and something. He had no credit, no job, he's a student. He probably got plenty of student debt, but his daddy paid the rent a year in advance. He said, will that work? Call the owner or sent the owner an email, here's what we got. And the owner said, fine. You always run the risk of, all right, they're gonna stay till the end of that year and then you can't get them out. But we put the whole year's rent in the security account and labeled it. This is month. And then as each month came, we would pull it out of the security account, put it in a rental account, and then transfer it to the owner. All the money's got to balance. To be valid, when must the deed be delivered?
During the life of the offeror.
Grantor.
Grantor, yeah.
What is equitable right of redemption?
Once you have a contract signed by both, no? Equitable right. Oh,
But
when
before
you,
one's after. So
that's
Yeah, one's
equitable.
before, one's after.
That's before court.
This is before the foreclosure, before the hammer comes down, you can redeem your property, pay all the past
What's
due,
in
and
arrears.
they may let you keep staying there, because they really don't want to take that property.
right.
Because it's gonna cost them probably $20,000 to take this property and turn it around and get it back out and sold. So they'd rather you stay there, just get caught up. That's your equitable right of redemption. And then you've got one called statutory.
That's after the one.
That's after the sale.
You got
How
a
long is
year.
that? 1
1
year.
year.
But you can come back and reclaim your property. Now, if the new owner has done a lot of improvements in there, you gotta pay those.
12%.
Well, no, this is on foreclosure. You're thinking about tax deeds.
Oh, okay.
If the owner, the new person that bought this, bought your house, when they're putting new carpet in, painted it, well, you think you should get that for free?
No.
No, that's the law. It says you gotta pay for what they did. But what if they went in and put Italian marble and gold fixtures and granite in this little house in West End?
Within reason?
Yeah, you gotta say, well, why'd you do that?
I know.
And the judge is gonna say, no, that was excessive. You're not getting that money back.
Right.
A reasonable cost for this, and this is all you get.
I thought it was a standard percentage.
No, you're thinking about the statutory interest rate. That's 12%.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, if you get one at a tax sale, that's what you're thinking about there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
They've
about.
got to pay you 12% interest on the money that they put up to buy your tax debt. What's intestate?
Die with the will. Without.
Without the will.
I was like, huh?
We're close.
Oh, she died.
I like that
I
little.
know, right.
Almost.
Okay, but what is this sheet then?
It's
That's
cheap.
when they take, you have no heirs
that's-
and no
Oh, no
will.
heirs,
You-
okay.
If you died intestate, if you died intestate, the state rules kick in. The state rules say, this relative gets, these
But there's
don't.
no really.
Okay.
But if you don't have any heirs, then we have a escheat, and that's where the property just goes to the state.
Okay.
That's what we said, that's
No will
peak power,
without.
Right.
P-E-T-E, the last E is cheat. We said they cheat you out of your property.
Okay.
When do property taxes become a lien?
Well, you don't pay them.
From a legal standpoint.
October 1st.
Oh, you talking about like the date?
Yeah, from the legal standpoint, when do they become a lien? And the very first day they're due. It's an unrecorded lien. Everybody knows it's there because nobody pays their taxes in advance. Why?
Okay.
But October the 5th, you owe 5 days of taxes. So it's a lien on there right now. And when you sell the property, the closing agent's gonna send a letter to the county and say, what are the taxes due as of the date of closing? What are the zoning classifications?
Residential, commercial.
Yes,
Rural, no, agricultural.
agricultural,
What is it where you have industrial?
and
Mhm.
And
I don't know.
yes, we have RCA is, you got all the way to the I.
Industrial, residential, commercial, agricultural, industrial, and.
Oh, like schools and churches,
Yeah,
special.
special.
Okay.
Special purpose.
Okay.
Those are tax exempt. You don't pay taxes on the fire department.
Residential, commercial, agricultural,
Industrial
industrial.
and special purpose.
Special purpose.
Our acronym is RCA,
Mhm.
is zoning districts. Now, while we're there, residential, if you are living in it and homesteading it as your primary residence,
Mhm.
then you pay taxes
10%.
on 10% of the assessed value. That's not appraised, those are two different words. Assessed value is what the tax authorities say it's worth. Now, if you don't live there and you've got it as a rental property, then you're taxed at 20% of that assessed value. Oh, we got some more. These are accounting. I split them around. I said, we don't want to look at all those in a row. Let's move them around. These are accounting and reporting issue. Mishandling of trust funds. And those are things like earnest money, security deposit, sales binders, repair money, and the interest owed. I don't know, because the way our law is here, we can just write in the management agreement that we're keeping the interest. You don't have to give it to the owners. If you tell them up front, you know, the money, and Wells Fargo pays us right now 1/10 of 1% on our security deposits. So there's not a whole lot of money there. Yeah, it won't even cover the cost of the account.
What are binders?
Binders, same thing as earnest money.
Oh, okay.
Some states they would call it a binder. We call it earnest money here. Repair, escrow money, repair money. I've got a couple of owners that said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to just keep a little extra of my money in case there are repairs, you'll have money to do it. And that would be, we got to keep that in a security deposit. If we use it for repairs, then we pull it out of the security deposit to make those repairs. Let's just say, well, I'm holding $2,000. That'll cover a lot of repairs, but they've got a bunch of houses. So we could have $2,000 worth of repairs in a month. Well, they want them done. Don't call me and say, give me $2,000. They'd rather say, you got $2,000 you're already holding, use that. Commingling. What does that mean?
Putting their money with your money.
Yeah, it's just mingling right now. The other word that goes along with that is
Conversion.
Failing to keep funds in a separate federally insured account.
That's commingling.
Well, that you have to, here we have to have our security deposit, earnest money, anything in trust, escrow, we have to have in a bank that's in Alabama. Federally insured, the broker has to be a signator on the account. I can't put money in Citibank that may have a branch in, say, Atlanta. That would violate this rule. It has to be in the state. Failing to keep records for 3 years. Pretty much anything you do, you got to keep for 3 years. Paying a commission to a non-licensee, that's the receptionist. They went out and showed a property, and you paid them a commission on it. Well, you knew better, shouldn't have done that. Or you, somebody says, you know, this is my mom's house. I used to have a real estate license. I'd like to, you know, be involved in this, and I want you to pay me the commission. It can happen. Don't do it. Accepting a commission from anyone other than your qualifying broker. This happens. I was at a commission meeting a year or so ago where the agent did a deal and then told the buyer, said, okay, I'll need an earnest money check for $1,000. Make that out to the brokerage. and I need a $500 administrative fee made out to me. Ooh. Now, had she said, make that out to the brokerage too, she'd still have a license.
Yeah.
But she doesn't now.
Did it say how they found that out?
The buyer talked to somebody else and they said, that's not normal. And they called her and said, that's not normal. Give me that money back. And she'd already spent the money. Well, that's why you get $500 in your hand. It's not lasting 5 minutes.
Sure is not.
It's gone, and she didn't have it. She didn't have it in the beginning. That's why she asked them for it. She needed some money for something, but they took her license right there on the spot. Okay, paying fees or fines to ARAC with a bad check.
Yeah.
We saw a bunch of those in our case studies. Failing to give the buyer, seller written estimated costs, that's called our net sheet, at the time of the offer and update it with a counter offer. Failing to produce records requested by ARAC. They come in and audit you and you're missing some papers. They said, well, get those to us because we want to see what was going on here, and you don't get them to them. Well, that's a violation on its own. And the next one goes along with it, failing to provide information requested by ARAC. That's a violation too. Like when the auditor was in here the other night, we had to just not let her in. She couldn't have done her job.
Pretended like we weren't here.
Yeah.
But was it
But
okay?
you know, it was a good thing we were here.
Yeah, good thing we were
We
here.
weren't planning on being here.
Yeah.
Well, but with the door being locked, was that anything that was out of the norm for her? Or
No, I don't think so because,
Okay.
you know, we're back here in the back of this
Right.
building. We don't want somebody wandering in here.
No,
'Cause,
yeah.
but had I gone to the door and saw who it was,
Internal.
and y'all were all in here drinking and playing cards,
Oh, yeah.
and I said, I really don't want you coming in here and see what we're doing right now, because I'd lose my license.
Right.
But she'd say, no, I want to see what's going on, and I want to see some records of when your
Yeah.
students signed in.
Right.
Both of those are legitimate things for
Right.
them to do.
Right.
And if I said no, then I'm in violation. Failing to return records to the rightful owners. And here's the situation. You went and got a listing, and you told the seller, have you got an old survey? I'd like to get your last title as well. Any other documents you got that'll help me selling this property? And they say, oh yeah, we got that, and they give it all to you. And then the listing expires without you selling it. And they call you and say, I'd like to get that stuff back. And you say, I don't know where it is.
Wow.
Well, they're just going to call the real estate commission, and then they're going to call you, and then you're not producing. You just violate. Just working down the list.
That's right.
Yeah, we had D up there was failing to keep records for 3 years, but down here at the bottom, M is broker failing to keep the records for 3 years. You probably are not responsible for keeping, because the real estate commission's never going to your house to look at records.
Right.
The rules that the records have to be at the office.
Okay.
Failure to notify ARAC of a change of business address within 30 days. Because if you change, like when we moved here, we had to notify them. I sent them a notice we've moved, and you have to send them $25 for every license you've got here.
Right.
We sent them $700 just to change the address on everybody's license. I told them, I said, that's just excessive.
Exactly.
They didn't send any of it back either.
So when you do that and you have to change business cards, each licensee have to go and,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Yeah, it causes trouble when you move.
Yeah, yeah.
While I'm there and thinking about this, if you're working for a company, one of the big ones where they've got, you know, they want you to do everything under their name, they want you to use their email address, makes you look, you know, like you're part of the company, don't do it. Use an email account with Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail or somebody else, because all your emails and all your contacts, if you've got it in their database
Right.
and you leave, that's all gone.
Right.
You can't get back in there and even get your contacts. So use your own account. Okay, I got that. Now let's go to some easy ones.
Okay.
Is that an easy one?
Special.
Special.
Hospitals, libraries, schools, blah, blah. Like the whole property is.
Most
special,
likely.
Joint ownership.
Joint tenants
Tenancy.
with the right of survivorship is how they're likely to hold it. Don't have to. Husband and wife can hold separate property. You and your husband.
If we owned it before we got married.
Right, it would still be in your name. And you can buy and sell property and never even tell him. Probably not a good idea, but you can. Legally, you can. What builders? You know, they build houses and sell them all the time. Their wife or husband, whoever the builder is, they didn't even know you were building that one. And let's see, what else? What you mentioned had property before you were married. Well, that's just in your name. The
Or
deeds,
inherited.
yeah, the deeds in your name, inheriting property. Even though you're married and you inherit property, it doesn't. Your spouse doesn't get a cut of it.
No.
That's still just yours.
Now you said the zoning classification is a tax exemption for special?
Special.
Special.
Yes.
Okay.
All your others have tax on them.
Mm-hmm.
Condominium, the owners each hold what kind of ownership in the pool?
Is that common?
Common. Remember you in the pool with the common people.
Common people.
Don't be using my steps.
Yeah, those are my steps. Oh. How about the living space in your condo? How do you hold title in that? Or ownership?
That's common too.
No. We had joint tenants if it's husband and wife, but you're gonna have fee simple.
Be simple.
Fee simple on your living space. The other, you've got tenants in common. Can the office manager of the real estate company show properties?
Office manager in a real estate company. If they're licensed.
If they're licensed. I should have put non-licensed, but we've already had one like this. How long must you hold a salesperson's license before taking the broker test?
2 years.
2 years. Got to be active 2 out of the last 3 years. How many hours is the pre-license class?
60.
I thought you said it was 100.
For us it was.
Plus
We're the smart class.
It seems like you've been here 100. Huh? I've been here all day today. How may a broker serve more than one company?
As long as they're under the same address.
Same address.
Same role.
And each company must sign off saying they know the
Yeah.
broker's serving other companies. What's an associate broker?
A broker who works on the qualifying broker.
Yes, but the associate
So-
broker has done what?
Gotten licensed as a broker.
As a broker, they got their salesperson's license, held it for 2 years, then took the broker course, which is another 60
And
hours, and then took the broker test, and that test is different from yours too. Theirs is called a simulated test. That's where it's like the word problems in school. It's like the whole page is the word problem. You just read and read and read and read, and then you go over which of the following apply, and you have like A, B, C all the way down to Z.
That's on the brokers?
Broker test. It's called a simulated test, and depending on how you answer over here, the points have different values. If you answer something right that should be right, you get like a point. But if you answer something that's really wrong, they may take 3 points away from you.
Oh, wow.
So it's a different test. Fortunately, I took mine when it was multiple guess.
grandfather.
Yeah, I'm here.
Back when Thomas Jefferson was still around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wore my Thomas Jefferson suit in there. How long do you have from the time you finish the real estate class to take the state test?
3 months.
3 months. And what's the passing grade for the
70.
state? 70. What's the passing grade for the school test?
80.
80. You finished your real estate class and will take your test next week. Your neighbor wants you to help them sell their house, but wants it listed now. Can you help?
No.
No.
You can't do
Well, what you probably should do is call your broker. Call your broker and say, hey, my neighbor wants to list their house now. They don't want to wait till after I get my test. What can we do? And I would say, let's list it. And I would list it, or your broker will list it. And then when you get your license, then you can get in on the deal.
Oh,
But right now, you can't get a referral or anything. All you can do is say, well, let me send you to my broker.
So is
but
that-
if you got your license before the house sells, or by the time the house sells,
Yeah.
then it would still be your deal.
Well, let's just say it sold that first week before you even got your license. Ooh, you're just gonna feel cheated there, but the rules are the rules.
Right.
You are not licensed. For you to get a commission, you must be licensed at the time of the sale. Your license can go inactive after that, but you're not doing real estate services after that. You're just lining up title and closing and termite. That's not a barn sale. You can do those things, but if the deal is you got to have a license at the time of sale, have a employment agreement with your broker, and you are the procuring cause. Those 3 things, you'll get paid even if your license went inactive. Even if you quit, you still do a commission.
Really?
Absolutely. You did the deal. You did the work. Now, it's not true with builders. With a builder, you're working for them and you quit, and you may not get any of the commission. And if you do, you're only going to get half of it or less, because they had to bring somebody else in now to finish your job.
So if I saw that question on an exam, the answer is yes. I can if I go to my broker.
Yeah, you can't list it because you don't have a license.
Okay.
I put
I
no,
understand that.
but call your broker.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
Yeah, you can't help.
You can't
In reality,
It's
the
no.
test will be, no, I don't have a license.
Okay. That's
I
what
can't
I want to
help
make
you.
sure of.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have someone who can help you.
Right.
No.
If you're inactive
Inactive.
and you've got an original license, it's good as long as you keep paying the renewal fee. And if it's active, it's good as long as you pay the renewal fee and do your CE. You don't have to do CE inactive. But if you want to go back active, let's just say you've been out of the business for 7 or 8 years and you decide I want to get back in the business, you've got to take 15 hours of continuing education and then pay the fee, and you're back in business. Let's see, Georgia requires you to do the CE even if you're inactive, and Florida requires you to do the CE even if you're inactive. But Alabama, you can be inactive and you don't have to do any CE. You also are exempt from CE if you were 65 years old in the year 2000 and had been in the business for, I think, 10 years. Not many people get that exemption now, because that means they'd be what, 80,
Almost 80.
85 or so now. But there's still some out there that still get that exemption. I had an agent that was under that exemption. And I said, really? She said, yeah, I'm 92 years old.
Balling.
Wow.
What will happen to your license if you don't make a sale in the first year?
Nothing.
Nothing's gonna happen to it. Lots of agents don't make a sale their first year, second year, some. I got agents that have never made a sale.
Co-brokerage.
Co-brokerage? What is that?
Somebody from another state comes
Yes.
to your state and
Yeah, we don't do those.
I would not do one, but some will. And the rules are, if they're an out-of-state broker, you must verify they have a license. You take all responsibility for their actions regarding this listing. You got to hold the earnest money. You do all the advertising and hold the earnest money.
Yes, you said it twice.
Oh, okay.
That's a plus.
Yeah,
That's an
yeah.
extra plus.
I'm not sending money over there.
Extra.
Remember, our thing on earnest money has to be held in a Alabama federally insured bank, and they're in another state, so that would violate that rule. How many classroom hours are required every 2 years to keep the license active?
15.
15. What are these classes?
Loss, what is it? Not loss prevention.
Something like that.
What is it called? Shoot. You know what I'm trying to say, Steve.
I know. I do know.
Risk management.
Risk management.
get it out.
You got risk management 1. That's called
Excellent.
violations. Everybody takes that one. And then there are 2 other risk management classes you can choose from, either the salesperson or the broker. Up until last time, the brokers had to take the broker one. But there weren't enough brokers taking the classes for us to make a class. So they changed the rule to where the brokers can take the salesperson's risk management class as well. Then you got to have 3 more classes, and they can be anything you want them to be. I think you need to take things that'll help you, like maybe a negotiating class, maybe 2 of those. Because that's the bottom line of what we do. We got to be able to recognize when somebody's using a negotiating tactic on us. We need to be able to recognize it and know how to respond to it. When y'all get the post license, we're actually going to do a whole night of negotiating. It's fun. In fact, you'll leave here saying, "Wow, wait till I get home."
Negotiating on dishwasher
Yeah.
and folding
We
clothes.
have a new sheriff in town now. Can your licensed assistant advise your client?
License,
Yes.
Yeah, licensed. Does an apartment manager need a real estate license?
No.
No. How about a condominium manager?
Yes.
Yes. The qualifying broker must explain the RECAT office
Once a
RECAT
year.
office policy.
Once
Just
Once
a
a
word
year.
there. Once a year, got to meet with each agent and say, do you understand how we work with people? We do transaction broker, well, how's that work? Single agency, how's that work? Dual, how's that work? You understand that? Yeah.
Can you do them all at one time?
Well, we do.
Okay.
We send out an email. Here's what we're doing. Here's how it works. You understand? And it's on DocuSign.
Oh, okay.
You understand? Click.
Okay.
Oh,
Get
so
them
they
all
don't have
out.
to come into the office? Okay.
No. Well, nobody comes in the office.
They don't like you like
Yeah,
that.
I could take this classroom and just make it our office for a few. Why would you come in here?
Yeah.
Everything now is electronic. The contracts are going back and forth electronic. The earnest money they're gonna mail to you, or our agents, if they got earnest money, they can take it by the bank, put it in the bank.
We built a house in '06, and then we bought one in 2015, and it was just such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
People don't talk to each other now.
Being able to have everything online and electronic, oh goodness, it was so.
Yeah, I
so
talked
much
to
better.
I did cybersecurity today, and they talked about the real estate agents and online.
Yeah.
It scared the heck
It
out of
will.
me. Oh my God, I was like, I don't want, just write my check out, please.
The new fraud
Oh my
is
God.
somebody knows you're fixing to go to a closing.
Yeah.
And they'll send you an email that looks like it came from the closing agents, and here's the wiring instructions for the money.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Oh a
Oh, a guy that had been buying houses. he owned about 10 houses, and I sold him one, and the attorney sent him the wiring instructions. He said, no. Said, no, I've never done that. This is a fraud. I don't believe this.
Yeah,
And he went to the attorney's office
right.
and said, did you send me this? And he said, yeah, that's the way we do it now. He still didn't want to do it.
They were saying that sometimes when you do that, a lot of times you can't trace it. The money's just gone. It's
Yeah.
just it's been moved and it's gone.
Gone.
You don't know where it is. How I was like, no, he's gonna have to write me my check. I ain't gonna do it.
Well, that's the way, old school, that's the way they want it.
Yeah. Ooh.
But there's so much fraud possibility there.
Yeah.
Because you can get an email that looks like it came from Wells Fargo. It's got their logo and all their information on it. And,
Right.
and you just looked at it and said, looks like Wells Fargo. Yeah, okay. Here's where I send the money.
Wow. Wow.
A licensee who is convicted of violating a real estate law may be fined how much? Minimum and maximum?
100
100
to 25.
2,500. If you're late renewing your license, what's the penalty?
The financial penalty
Mhm.
is $150.
150.
That was 150.
And that kicks in 1st of September. You've got all September to finish your CE, but they want their money. End of August, they got bills to pay.
Yeah.
They want the money. And so they only get money one time a year, so get it in here
Get
faster.
in here.
What's the fee for a temporary license?
Is that 30?
85. Temporary license.
Temporary. Well, when you
170.
get up from the test, they're gonna hand you an application. So you pass the test, here's what you need to do next.
Right.
And it's gonna have your fees listed there. First one's gonna be temporary license,
30.
45?
$150.
Oh,
Is
dang.
that 150?
$150 for the temporary
Threw me
license.
out because you just asked me 150 of it.
Later on in your package, I've got the fees in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen, I mean, I've looked at it, but for some reason just.
Can you pay an insurance agent a referral for a lead?
No.
No. What's the maximum amount?
Hey, energize a bunny. We did a break. We make
All
a
right, let's take a break. We've been here, what, 3 hours now?
2.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and do
Just
this.
rolling.
All right, back from break. What's the maximum amount the recovery fund will pay in one transaction?
25,000. One transaction.
One transaction.
25,000
Yeah, 25,000 on one transaction per licensee.
per licensee. Okay.
That's what I was thinking. How much per licensee?
25,000.
You were right on that. One transaction is 25,000. One licensee.
Per transaction.
Per transaction.
Now, he may have been involved in 2 or 3 transactions they messed up on.
But that's the
Yeah, the
maximum.
maximum's 50,000 on a licensee, 25,000 on a transaction.
Per license.
Yeah.
50,000.
Yeah, per licensee,
Oh.
25 on a transaction. Whoops. Can you turn down a tenant application due to bad credit?
Yes.
Yes. How about low income ratios?
Yes.
How about mental handicap?
No.
How about too many children?
No.
No. What will the real estate commission do to a licensee if money's paid from the recovery fund due to that licensee?
Revoke.
Revoke. Can you get it back?
Depending on circumstances.
Yeah,
Yeah, depending on that, and you gotta pay the money back,
Yeah.
plus interest on it. What class violation is a real estate rule?
A violation of a real estate.
Yeah, it was class A misdemeanor.
Misdemeanor.
Yeah, didn't we talk about that?
We did.
Very little.
We talked about, so I think there's probably at least 4,000 pieces of information you get thrown on you in this class.
Yeah.
And you get, well, once you've got a topic and then you got subtopics to that, and then some of those have subtopics, and that's the one they're gonna ask you about.
Right. That's subtitle.
Sub to the
So they're not asking the heading,
No.
they're drilling down. This is a new rule from about 4 years ago.
Can seek and impose a tax on
On a for sale sign on a property. I don't
without
understand
the
the question.
permission?
No, they
They
can't.
can't?
Used to, they'd send you a notice that you gotta pay if you had a house for sale,
They look up.
yeah, they want a piece of it. And then Homewood,
That's what I was thinking, Homewood.
the directional signs that you put out, like on the highway, they made you buy tax stickers to put on those. And somebody in the legislature said, no, we're not playing this game anymore. So they passed a rule that said, if you've got a license in the county that your office is in and the city your office is in, these other little municipalities cannot charge you fees.
Makes sense.
But that's the rule, but that's not reality. Not the rule.
Can they impose a tax on you if you got a for sale sign in your yard?
No,
Oh, no, okay.
no.
Okay.
Never in the yard, but like the directionals, they were charging taxes on that. Now, we got a letter a couple of weeks ago, a house we have for rent on Shades Crest Road, City of Vestavia sent me a letter saying you need to buy a license in Vestavia. No, I don't. No, the sign is on the property, and I don't own the property.
Right.
I can see the owner may having to buy a license, a city license.
But that's
But how you have a
just.
license for your own
property?
You'd be shocked, these little cities, some of the cities around here, the rules, if you want to, you can't,
That's like in Trustful, you got to have a license for everything up in there.
Calera, the way they're getting you now is to get the water turned on, if it's a tenant, they have to pay an extra $300 deposit.
No.
And that tells them you don't own this house, so then they'll look up who owns it and then send the owner a bill for a city business license. Because they operate the business, they run the house.
Oh my goodness, really?
Wow, that's something.
Yeah, and Hueytown does it. Centerpoint, we just got a thing from them to where Centerpoint now, every time we turn a house, they're gonna inspect it.
Turning it for turnkey.
Yeah, every
To
time I
rent.
move, yeah, if I move somebody out, before I can move somebody else in, they've gotta come in and inspect it.
Wow. Wow.
And that was a couple of weeks ago. Well, that's just, they're saying it's public safety. Sounds to me more like taxes,
Yeah.
fees.
Yeah.
But one of the owners that owned the property, they sent me the letter they got from the city, and I said, I'll handle it.
Yeah.
But
That's crazy.
And when was this?
the Centerpoint. All right, I'll edit all this out.
Okay.
So I'll know where I've stopped. All right. Oh, there's another little group.
Yeah.
Representation issues. Dual agency without written permission of the buyer and the seller. Remember, that's on one form. Both of them sign that same form. Failing to give a copy of a document to each party to a transaction. And it should say, comma, in a reasonable time. That doesn't mean I'll get it to you in a couple of months. You need to do the contracts and all, where you're getting the contracts onto them. You don't want to hold that contract. You need to get it onto them so they can look at it and sign it and get it back to you. Advertising without displaying the name of the brokerage prominently. That word prominently was just added. This is maybe 6 or 8 years ago. Used to, on your signs, your business cards, the company name had to be bigger than your name. Now you can put your name big as long as you can read the company name on there without having to get out a magnifying glass. That's what prominently means. It has to be on there. This one, I've never understood this one. Said, placing a sign on a property without the owner's consent. Now, why would you do that?
Why?
Yeah, why would you do that?
Right.
I can see it now.
Who made you in charge?
Yeah, I just get my signs out and just start putting them in everybody's yard.
Yeah.
Well, what if somebody wants to see that property? What are we gonna do then? Don't know, I think the reasoning behind it was somebody had put a sign out, they were thinking they were just advertising, it was a vacant lot. And they put the sign out there and the owner called and said, that lot's not for sale.
Yeah.
And so they wrote a rule. A net listing, you can't take a net listing. Now you can do a listing where the seller says add your commission to it, and we can do that on the T formula now. And we deal with that down in the rate part. We're gonna take our commission out of there because that's a percentage. The other one, if you wanna add the seller, the buyer closing cost to it, that's a dollar amount, and you're gonna deal with that up on top. Failing to include a fixed expiration date on a listing, failing to leave a copy, see that failing to leave a copy. That doesn't mean get it back to them in a reasonable time. This is the only one that says leave a copy. No automatic renewal. All right, next one down there, offering real estate lotteries to influence the party to purchase on a lease. That's where you're going to give a lot away, and so you run this promotion, come out and register for a free lot. Well, they just want your name so they can start, well, you've already shown an interest and you want to be here. Now they're just going to stay on you. And if they gave away a lot, you think they're going to give away a good one? No, they probably got one down here that's next to the ditch that floods and they can't build on it anyway. Well, they'll give you that one. So there's a rule on that.
Write it off.
I can't read that by.
Offers made
to licensees. I'm not sure what that is. I guess if you get an offer, you better get it on to the party you've got.
Maybe it's like, you did such a good job selling my house and I want to give you a little token of our appreciation.
And it's got to go through the broker.
And it's got to go to the broker part.
All rebates go through the broker.
Everything goes to the broker. Got a person living in Georgia holding a license in Alabama?
Yes.
Yes.
That's you.
And you don't have to be a resident of the state.
Yeah.
What's a material fact?
That's a known fact, right?
Well, our definition on this is something that would cause a reasonable person to question the deal. And if they knew this, then they would probably
Their decision might be different.
Yeah, their decision would be affected by it. Well, the obligations to a customer. All right, let's go back. We started this about 2.5 hours ago with this very one right here. What are the obligations to a customer?
That's the hard question. The honesty, the accounting, the reasonable care,
Yes.
the disclosure,
Yes.
answer the questions
Yes.
honestly, truthfully,
Yes.
and completely,
Completely, and transmit all offers.
in a timely manner.
And if you have an interest in the party
Disclosure.
disclosure.
Your
It
interest.
was easier the second time.
Yeah.
What's an ad valorem tax?
Isn't that the school tax?
That's your property
That's
tax.
property
Oh,
tax.
ad valorem.
And the word means according to value, or the added value. They have, I probably need to reword that one. What's the number used to determine this tax?
Mill rate.
A mill
Mill
rate. You could say the assessed value, so there's a couple, I need to rework that.
Or
Maybe make-
what form of measurement is used? Or
Yeah, what number is used to determine tax, and it's
It's
the
assessed
assessed
value.
value and mill, so there's two. I can break that into two questions, because there is mill. Ontario, what's a mill?
1,000.
What's the bundle of rights?
Those are the rights that the owner have
Uh-huh.
to possess, to.
That's one of them. What's the acronym?
Right.
What's that?
I don't remember.
QP.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Possession,
possession,
exclusion.
exclusion,
The other E is, I know the other one is disposition, and then it's,
okay, you got disposition.
exclusion.
So short
and-
one E there. What's that E she's looking for? Encumber?
Encumber.
Encumber.
God.
What's the priority of liens based on?
Tax, property tax.
No, what's it based on? The priority of
First
liens.
in line, first in time, first in line.
Yes, and then you were right there. Property
Property
tax
tax.
jumps no matter
Jumps the
whatever,
line.
anything else is
Comes together
there.
the line.
Can real property become personal property?
Yes.
Yeah, we did a whole thing on the seat and the tree
Yeah.
and the chairs.
Yeah,
And
who did that?
your garage is on your neighbor's property.
Encroachment.
Encroachment. What type of property ownership has the most rights?
The
Fee simple.
fee simple.
And then some say absolute on
Yeah.
top of that. But fee simple is your highest form of ownership.
I'm gonna have to read about that.
Is fire covered by homeowner's insurance?
It is.
It is. There are 7 perils it covers. How about a flood?
No.
No.
That's not one of them. What's a spot survey? Kind of got off law here a little bit. Spot survey, Spot's house is drawn on
I
that
see
survey.
Spot's house, but I just can't.
That's it, you see Spot, that's why Spot's house is drawn on the survey. That's a spot survey, it spots everything, also known as an as-is survey. The legal description most likely to describe a new home community would be a lot and block, yeah. Is demand affected by employment levels?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Government policy?
Yes.
No.
No, I thought that
That's
was
supply.
That's supply.
Oh, supply.
Yeah.
How about current inventory on the market? Does that affect demand?
Yes. Current
inventory.
inventory on the market.
Yes.
That'll affect supply. No.
That wouldn't
It's
affect,
supply and demand.
that wouldn't affect
Supply.
supply or demand.
Oh.
No.
Remember we talked about the hula hoops?
No,
I got
We have
4 million hula hoops in the warehouse.
It don't
It
matter.
doesn't matter how many I've got in there, I can add more to it, and still not
They don't
gonna
want
affect the
them.
demand, nobody wants them.
Mm.
All right, let's go back to our memory technique on supply and demand. Supply factors are the construction worker, got his tool belt on, he picks up a gold nail, drives it through the White House, and it goes on through and hits the Federal Reserve. So we've got construction cost, availability of labor to build the houses. That's a supply. If you don't have enough workers, you can't build the houses. The price of the materials to build a house, if it's too high, sheetrock's $1,000 a sheet, we're not gonna build many houses. Government policy is tax credits on your income tax for the mortgage that you pay. That's to get people to make a commitment, buy a house. And the other is fiscal policy, and that's FICA, fiscal policy. That's like the Federal Reserve, raising and lowering interest rates. Right now, we're at historic lows on our interest rates. You can get a loan right now for under 4%.
And they've held
Yeah.
for a long time.
They-
We got a
yeah.
loan like that.
Well, they can do that because we got fiat money.
Yeah.
It's fake money, and they just keep printing and printing and pouring it out in the system.
Oh, boy.
So that's what affects that? What's
Yeah.
going on with the Fed?
Yeah, they're giving away free money to keep the system afloat right now.
Yeah.
Now, if interest rates started going
Oh,
up,
boy.
People
the whole
stop.
thing's gonna come crashing down. If we had interest rates right now of even probably 6%, we would see a crash.
Really?
Well,
Not just a halt, but a
Well,
crash.
no one would be able to borrow money then.
No.
Businesses are not gonna borrow at 4%. People are not gonna buy a house, I mean, it's 6%. People are not gonna buy a house if the interest rate's 6%. I'll just wait till it comes back down. Well, once it starts going up, it's probably just gonna keep
Like
going
you were
up.
saying, some people had them at 12% at one point.
At one time.
How is it that they got people to buy when they were?
I bought one because the one I bought in '75, I paid $35,000 for it. In 1979, that's just 4 years later, I sold it for $52,000. That is what about a 50% increase in value in 4 years. I said, we can move back to Hoover. So we came up to Hoover and bought an $80,000 house, saying, wow, in 4 years, this will be worth 120.
Yeah.
4 years later, it was still worth 80. 10 years later, it was still worth 80. It went up just enough. We covered the real estate commission to get out of it.
Right.
That was, but see, it's, everybody wants to, right now, everybody wants to jump on the bus. All these stock prices going up crazy. It's almost 30,000 right now, the Dow. That's fake.
Yeah.
It's from all this tax credit that they gave the tax thing we had last year. Where all right, let me back up here. Demand. Okay, we got that one. You give a neighbor permission to fish in your lake.
License.
You die. What happens to permission?
It's gone.
It died.
With the person.
Salesperson told the buyer that his listing was the best value in town.
Puffy.
Puffing, yes. Salesperson tells someone they are moving into the neighborhood.
They, as in the people.
They.
Steering.
Days. I'm blockbuster.
Blockbuster, okay.
Steering would be, you might be happier over here.
Yeah.
Lender decides not to make loans in an area of town.
Red line.
Red line. Is a listing terminated by the death of the salesperson?
No.
No.
How about the death of the broker?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a personal service agreement between the broker and the principal.
Even if they had a sub.
The broker died.
Okay.
The agreement is between the broker and the property owner or the buyer agreement. It's a personal service contract. One of the persons dies, the agreement dies. How about the bankruptcy of the owner?
No.
This is gone. They have no rights now. They can't sell the house.
Right.
I should say foreclosure of the owner. Because bankruptcy, they may not actually put the house in bankruptcy.
Right.
Right.
They may keep it. So I'll change that to foreclosure.
Change that to foreclosure.
Yeah. What's the difference in a voluntary lien and an involuntary lien? Give me some examples.
Voluntary is a mortgage. Involuntary would be like
Tax.
anything as mechanics lien, taxes. What
Yeah,
else?
property taxes. What are the requirements for joint tenancy with right of survivorship? We had an acronym, PITT. P-I-T-T. Possession is equal. I, interest, equal. Time, it was at the same time. Let's say P-I-T-T, and the same title.
Idle.
What's the difference in an appraisal and a home inspection?
Appraisal give you the value of the home.
An opinion of the appraiser's value, and the other one is an opinion of
The
the
condition.
condition by another professional.
Rights that attached to the land.
Rights to attach to the land.
That's not bundle of rights, is it?
No,
Littoral.
no.
No. Rights attached to the land.
Attached to.
Real estate?
How about a pertinent?
Oh, what a way to say
The
that.
rights that attach to the land and travel with the land. The new owner, let's see, y'all like this dominant and servient tenement.
Yeah.
The servient property has got this easement on it now that attached to that land, And the next people that move in there or move back here, that stays with this land. The new owner that bought this front piece can't put a fence up and say, nope, you can't go through here anymore because that's attached to the land.
What, spell it?
Appurtenant.
A-P-E-P.
I know I cannot spell it. Y'all asking me to spell again? A little red line on these words, that's my friend.
Net.
And
Net.
then legal. Information about age, education, and other characteristics of the population is what? That was one of our demand factors. We did the supply factors, our demand factors. We've got
The whole
old person holding the baby and holding hands with an unemployed person, which they've got time. It's really employment rates, demographics, and growing population. That's demand factors. This is demographics.
This is
That's information about age, education, other characteristics, how much money they have. Those kind of things are demographics.
Employment rates, demographics, and
Growing population. That's the baby. Broker helps a customer fill out the contract, probably acting as
transaction broker.
a transaction broker. Can the owner of a life estate, based on their life, will that estate?
It's based on the other person's life.
Based on their life.
On the
The owner of a life estate, based on their life, can they will that estate?
Yes.
I thought it was based on the
It could be based on their life or another's
grantee.
life.
Oh, on either one of them's life.
Yeah, but this question says, the
Can
person that's
hold
holding the life estate dies,
Uh-huh.
can they will their estate to someone?
Yes.
I guess.
No,
No.
they're dead. Their life
Oh, they
estate
died.
died.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
They died. They
The
said they died.
life. Okay.
It's getting late, isn't it?
Life estate. Okay.
We're almost finished. We're almost
So,
finished.
no.
Why don't we go another, say 15 minutes?
We'll be finished.
Oh, we will?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
only.
4 more pages.
4 more pages?
3 more pages,
5 more
really, after
pages.
this.
All right.
So what happens
So
to
what
the-
happens to this estate?
It reverse back.
Two things could happen to it. Reversion, going back to the original grantor, or remainder man. That's where it's going to go on to another person. But that person that's holding the life estate, it's a life estate that sounds kind of like it's a lease for their life, but no, it's a fee simple ownership. They can mortgage that property, they can lease it, they can sell it, they can do anything to that property anyone else that owns it could do. But when they die, whatever they've sold or leased, that ends. What kind of property is a trade fixture?
Personal trade fixture.
Yeah, I guess it would be personal property because it's going to leave with the owner. But I was looking for an example.
Business.
The board back there behind you.
The board
Yeah,
Yeah.
Restaurant equipment that's attached to the
Barbershop
floor.
chair.
Yeah, that kind of, barbershop chair. It's bolted to the floor.
No.
No, land does not depreciate. What's the doctrine of implements? Oh, we just did this a couple of nights ago. We talked about implements. And I
Is that
said it's not the
fructose
doctor
natural
of
fructose?
implements, doctrine of implements. And we had it was a multiple guess question we did. What are implements?
What, give me a
Crops.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, stuff that you can come back to
Yes.
and harvest even after the land
Yes.
is sold.
Okay.
The implements are the crops that you own, even though it's growing in somebody else's land now because you're leased in. The doctrine of implements is the law that says you can come back and harvest your crops.
Does that have anything to do with fructose naturalis and all of that?
That would be fructose, which one?
Industrials.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's an industry, you grew it for a purpose. A rancher owns a parcel of land where oil is discovered. Who owns the oil?
He doesn't own the mineral rights.
I didn't say that. It just says he owns a parcel of land. So you're gonna make an assumption here that he owns the mineral rights too. Unless
So
it
that
said
could
he
go either
doesn't.
way.
Yeah.
Okay.
he
So
got-
don't read into it.
Yeah, don't read into it.
Rancher owns a large parcel of land where oil is
Then he
discovered. Who
owns the mineral rights.
He owns them. Yeah, unless it says he sold them or leased them.
Yeah.
Can a broker set their minimum office listing fee?
Yes.
Yes. How about if the brokers work together to set a minimum?
No.
Good.
Antitrust.
That's antitrust price
Yeah.
fixing. What's the difference in a general and a specific lien?
General is everything that that individual owns. Specific would be like the house, something specific,
Yeah.
not all their property.
And a general lien will be all the property that owner owns
In that
in
state.
that county.
In that county, okay.
And specific lien would be the mortgage on that specific piece of property. Your general lien would be probably a federal income tax lien. As supply increases, demand decreases, what will happen to prices?
Go down?
Yeah, if the demand decreases, prices are probably gonna fall because you're making, remember our old hula hoops, we got more and more of them. Well, how are we gonna get rid of these? Nobody wants them. We're gonna have to keep
Bring the price down.
bringing the price down. You're probably gonna have a question on supply and demand. So you need to
I'm gonna
know,
brush up on
yeah,
that.
know
sure I know that.
the pictures, the supply picture and the demand picture.
Right.
Recording is what kind of notice?
It's a word for public
Yeah.
notice,
Actual.
That's the other one.
Actual and, oh God.
it's when you make the public aware. What is that
Yeah,
word?
It's two
Recording.
of them, it's actual and,
You almost got it.
Actual recording.
it's two types.
I'm gonna give your brain a break here.
What?
Constructive.
That's it.
Recording is
I
constructive
couldn't even
notice.
see right.
Actual notice is you saw someone living in the house.
Yeah.
Someone told you someone was living in the house. That's actual notice. And don't confuse those with our two types of eviction, because we have those same two words. Actual eviction, that's where the landlord's throwing them out. Constructive eviction is where the tenant's throwing the landlord out. Possession of the property is what kind of notice?
Actual.
Actual. See if y'all were paying attention, brought the same one back up. Reversion of a property to the state is what?
Is cheat?
Is cheat.
Cheat.
A clause in the mortgage that requires the balance to be paid immediately due to being behind 3 months late on the payment.
Acceleration.
No.
She said-
Acceleration.
Acceleration. The other one in a mortgage that would say you sold this property, you've got to pay it off. What's that notice called? Or
Alienation.
clause? Yeah, alienation. Primary purpose of a deed is to
Give construction.
transfer ownership. Should it be recorded?
Yes.
Yeah. If not recorded, what's the risk?
That, hey, nobody knows that it ever took place.
Right. And somebody can search the records,
And it
and
not
according
be
to
there,
that,
because it's
you
sitting
don't
in
know.
somebody's desk and they died.
What is market price?
Just on the supply and demand.
No,
No.
this, you got to know.
This was on our valuation. We had 3 kinds of prices that we dealt with.
What it cost.
Yeah, what it cost is one of these. The market value is what you think it's going to sell for, and market price is what it actually sold for. These 3 will be equal probably only at new construction. When it first comes out of the ground, this is what it costs right now to build one just like this. But 20 years down the road, that cost doesn't have anything to do with its value. And the value is just what you think it's going to sell for. But after it's been on the market for 9 or 10 or 11 months, that's not going to be what somebody's going to write the check for. That's the price, what they wrote the check for. What's the purpose of title insurance?
To protect either the buyer or the lender.
Yes, those are two different kind of policies. Who pays for title insurance if it's a cash sale
The
here in
seller?
Alabama? Yes.
So,
If it's got a mortgage on it, they will typically split. If the title search shows a problem, what's this problem called?
A cloud?
A cloud. See, some of this stuff is right up at the top.
Yeah, but some of it
And
is
some of
over
it's dug,
there.
yeah, some of it's dug way down.
I know.
there.
Some of it not there.
I know, there you go, tell the truth, tell the truth.
The purchase price is going to be a credit to whom?
A credit to the
purchase price.
Debit.
seller.
Yeah,
To the seller?
yeah. On your closing statement, the purchase price be a credit to the seller, debit to the buyer, and then the buyer's going to have a mortgage that's going to be a credit. They'll offset a lot of that, and then they have some down payment money, which will be a credit. Over here on the seller side, we got a debit of the commission. We got a debit to both of them for the title insurance.
Or to pay off the mortgage.
Well, yeah, over here on the seller side, he may have a mortgage that's going to end up as a debit to him. Debit to both for the attorney. So you don't have to have debit credit. You could have debits to both of them. I'm trying to think where we would have I don't think there's a credit to both of them, though. You can have debits to both, but I can't think of a credit. Is the bank the mortgagee or mortgagor?
The mortgagee.
Mortgagee. Mortgagee gets the fee.
Yeah.
Mortgagor gets the door. Thank you, prep agent. What are Pete's powers?
Police.
Police?
Powers, eminent domain.
Yes.
Taxation.
Taxation, and we just had that word a minute ago.
She,
It's cheat.
Okay.
What's
I'm
estoppel?
sorry, go back, please. Police power, eminent domain,
Taxation
tax,
and
and it's cheat.
cheat.
Okay.
Estoppel.
it's got to do with the contract, but I
But
can't.
just look at the root of that word, stop.
It means to stop.
You were stopped from exercising your rights because you missed, like you have the right to get an inspection within 10 days, but it's been 20. You have slept on that right. That's called estoppel. What's usury?
What, taking advantage of something?
That's kind of what it is. It's interest rates. If you're charging, let's just say the mortgage rates right now are 4%, and you offer somebody a mortgage at 40%.
Oh, goodness.
That's usury.
It's usually, yeah.
That's beyond what is reasonable. There used to be laws here that said you can't charge over 8% or something. That was a usury law. What kind of obsolescence is a home with 5 bedrooms and 1 bath?
Functional?
Functional. How about the toxic dump next door?
That is,
It's not on this property,
it's
it's
not.
external to this property.
So it was external?
Yeah, it's external.
external.
And how about no maintenance in decades?
Oh, physical.
Physical, yes, physical obsolescence. Fresh corn.
Okay.
F.
Familiar.
Familial. R.
Race?
It could be race. We got 2 R's.
Religion.
Yeah.
The E is your E&O insurance is not going to cover cost, and it also E&O is equal opportunity. S,
Sex.
sex. H,
Handicap.
handicap, and the C,
Color.
color, and Under R, religion, N,
National
origin. What's a statutory year?
Is that the opposite of the banker's year?
300.
No, that is the banker year.
Oh, okay.
360.
360 days. Every month has 12 days. And if they say figure this statutory, then that's what you're going to use.
Every month
Otherwise,
has 12 days?
now every month has 30 days.
30 days, so. I don't know why I thought sure it was 12. Every month has 30 days, okay.
The 12 months each have 30. You know, they're all different. But if they tell you it's a calendar year, then you've got what month is it? It's April. All right, well, April,
Yes.
you know the rhyme, April, what the 30 days has, September, October, something.
But you're.
Oh my goodness, there we are. Folks, we are done. The whole course is over now.
Yes!
And y'all
Now
done about
test.
70 hours or more. You've got actually more than your 60 hours.
Do we have more than every other class?
No, I usually do a cram course.
Yeah, but we asked for more stuff.
Yeah, y'all just beg for
I
it.
know. Give us more.
Give us more.
more.
Hit me again. That concludes the course. Now,